Okay, I think we'll go ahead and get started. So hi, everyone. Welcome to our Sage Intacct R1 All You Need to Know webinar. My name is Sophia Pascuzzo. I'm the Customer Marketing Associate here at RKL eSolutions. A few housekeeping items before we get started. So all mics are turned off for this webinar. So if you do have a question, please utilize the Q&A feature at the bottom of the screen. I'll be monitoring the chat throughout the presentation. The webinar will be recorded and available afterwards along with the slides. So look out for an email with that information coming this week. So with that, I'll hand it over to Todd Parsons, our Senior Solutions Architect, to talk about Sage Intacct.
Well, at least we waited till 3:03 p.m. on Eastern time, so I can officially say good afternoon to everybody and not be off with the people from the Pacific time zone. So let's go ahead and get started. My name is Todd Parsons. My bio information is there. I've been doing the year-end webinars. I think I recognize a few of the names from there on the list. So great talking with you again. And if you're new to this, hopefully you enjoy it and we'll keep coming back for more. This time I did not do kind of a table of contents. We're actually going to go through a little bit of all of the modules per se. Some of this stuff, it's just informational, and I'll try to do any demos and keep you as interested as possible throughout this hour as I can. So first things first, let's start with the user experience. This is probably my favorite thing about this. They've updated the list enhancements. They're still in beta, but you can turn those on. It allows you to do sorting of your different columns, put them in different orders without having to go in and recreate and modify your views. It allows you to kind of freeze frame some things if you have too many columns up. I know several people have like 30 columns up and you can't see everything. You're constantly scrolling back and forth. So that's super helpful in there. And it also allows you to have the list on one side and actually dig in on the other. So I thought it'd be easiest right now to go ahead and go into one of my Intacct environments. These lists are available in a lot of different areas, but for right now, I'm going to work with the vendors. So I'm going to go into AP and vendors. And for those of you who have kind of been in here before and played with this and had it crash on you, which I had about a month or two ago, I was playing with this. I'm like, I am not getting into this again. But after watching the release video for the partner program, I'm like, well, let me play with this a little bit more. And now I really like it a lot. So what you want to do is from in here in your AP vendors, you can click on Turn on List Beta Interface. Has a little bit newer of a feel to it, and hopefully some data is going to load. I did test this several times. There we go. And for example, like I don't have that many columns in this particular view that I can see everything, but if I couldn't see everything, I could come in here to this little gear icon and say freeze. So therefore, if I was scrolling over, I would be able to see all of those and this would stay here. I can also do text wrapping, which is kind of nice. So I can wrap around and I can drag this in a little bit here. It's not the nicest yet, but it's getting there. But I could do that if I wanted to see. There we go. It resized for us. If I needed to see more information, I could do that as well. I can also take and drag and move columns over like this in different orders if I wanted to. And then we still have our filtering capabilities as before. So one of the other things I really like about this view, let me just unfreeze. Let me come in here and we'll just leave that there. It's fine. You can click right here, which will allow you the side-by-side view. So for example, here I have my vendors lists here, but I can actually drill right into them without having to click edit and back and edit and back. If I had to go through and see a bunch of different things, I can work on these side by side. Now, in the past, when this was very early on in beta testing, we had some spots where we couldn't get out of here. We can now get back out of here if we wanted to. This will stay sticky. So if you do not like this view, or if you just want to play around with it, when you're done with it, you can click Turn Off Beta right here, and it takes us right back to where we were. Okay, so just a real quick, turn on beta lists. If I want to maneuver, I can. right here is where I can hit the side-by-side view. When I'm done with this side-by-side view, I can come back here. And then again, I can turn off my beta view if I want to go back to the other ones. So that's one of the things I've been a little bit more excited about with this one as it's gotten developed a little bit further along the line. Also in the user, let me come down here. Also in the user piece, we have more accurate addresses. So it doesn't sound like a big deal, but I know like when I'm working on imports and stuff, and I'm like, how the heck is this done for Canada? Well, now it's a little bit easier to kind of identify those. What they've done is they've actually moved the country code up here. And then once you set the country code, if it's one that has different states and territories in here, it will allow us to have the drop down and see those. So for example, come back up in here again. And I'm just going to go ahead and grab my company, set up. I'll do it with my company here and edit. For example, my address here, I'm in the United States, but if I was to switch over to Canada, there. I only did that one because I know for a fact that the different provinces are in here for Canada. So that can help with that for helping me refine my addresses a little bit more. Now, it doesn't change everything. It still says zipper postal code here and has the city in here. We will notice, because I believe I did this for a few other companies with a customer I was just working with. For example, in Germany, it doesn't have a drop-down list for us. And I don't believe it did with Mexico either at this point. And I do not claim to be an expert in geography and knowing what countries have states, provinces, or whatever. But in here, it will give us the ability to try to help refine our addresses in here. Not super huge, but something nice that is there to kind of look at. So let's go back here. This is a big one. Coming soon, our address is our website address is changing. What they're doing is they're going from sageintacct.com to sage.com, kind of similar to as we're going to talk about in a few minutes with, as we're going to see in a few minutes with the Sage Learning Center. It's on a platform with all of the other Sage products. That's kind of what we're going to be, what they're working towards here. If you have bookmarked the URL sageintacct.com, as you can see down below in bright red, which I'm sure as soon as I put this slide up, everybody's eyes went right to that. It is supposed to redirect you. So if you have your bookmark saved, it should continue to work in that regard. Okay. Help and training. This is a big one. If you've done any customer office hours, or if you've reached out or in the middle of an implementation, you'll know that we have migrated from Sage Learning Center to Sage University. So as their sales slogan, all your training needs are now at Sage University. Learn the benefits of Sage University and what you need to do to access this training. I do have a couple slides attached here to help you get from your old Learning Center login to the new Sage University login. I'll also show you, if you don't already have a Sage Learning Center, we'll talk to your implementation specialist as to why you don't have one, because you should, but we'll go through that as well in the video, in the demo here in just a minute. But from your home screen, you can hit it down here, Sage University at the bottom in your resource section. You can also get to it from the help and support. Instead of Learning Center now, the Sage University is there. It'll take you to a screen here. Now, if you have a login for Learning Center, you do need to go to create my Sage account. We will use the same information, and all of your information will be linked up to that from the Learning Center, but you do need to create a new login. So very important, if you have a Learning Center and you have classes you completed, make sure you use the same login credentials, same email address when you create your new account. Once you do that, then you can click login, but for now you'll have to hit create my account. It's going to bring you up to this page for the interim. and it's going to say, if you have an existing Sage Intacct Learning Center account, click this link. It's actually the same link for both of them, but the instructions are here for this one. If you don't have one, I'm going to take you through that as well. So again, I like to come in here and work from my home screen. Here again, where I have information, and I do want to disclose this. Up here is where Sage puts their notes, their videos for the releases. This is where we got our information from. The R1 release notes will be up here until they get ready to do the R2 release, and then it'll switch over. But down here in the bottom right corner, Sage University. And again, I need to create my profile. And here's where it says if you have an existing learning center, to connect here. If you do not have one, just scroll down a little bit further. It says new to Intacct Learning Center. Just hit the create your account here. Again, fill out the form. Up here, again, as a reminder, please use the same, right here it says use the same email associated with your learning center so that all of your information will be linked back up. Okay. Close out of here. Let's go back home and we'll drop him down and move on to the next. Company and administration. For those of you who are multi-entity, go ahead and doze off for the next 5 minutes. But if you have a single entity company, so an older company that's a single entity, Sage, as of last year, stopped creating single entity companies. Everybody is on the multi-entity platform now. So what they're doing is they're taking those single entity companies and they're migrating them over to the multi-entity platform. What's it going to look like from a difference perspective? Not a whole lot, because what we'll do is we're going to restrict to top level only, because you only have one entity anyway. But it's a way of making sure that as releases go through, as things are done, everything's happening on the same platform. Okay. If you're a distributed console person, just ignore everything I'm saying, because that's completely different yet. If you are a single entity, you will be scheduled to be migrated over. We don't have a master list as of now as to when everybody is being migrated over, but you can reach out to your VAR and ask them when you can be, or you can reach out directly to Intacct. There will be more to come, but they're being migrated kind of on a case-by-case scenario as they work out the schedule of getting everybody migrated over. Please don't hold me to this, but if I remember correctly, I believe they said they're hoping to have most of those migrated over within the next 2 years. Updated permissions. A user with a user type of project manager now has the ability to list, view, and edit, add, and delete for order entry transactions, as long as they are in the sales quote or sales order flow. Okay. There are 2 new permissions reports that have been created. Permission changes audit trail report and a permission report for all direct users. So one will say who granted the changes to permissions, and the other one will just say, I want to see all of the permissions for this person in a report. Okay, so in order to enable those, what you'll need to do is you'll need to go to the platform services or customization services. If you do not have that, you'll want to go to the custom applications section, and then you'll want to look in the library for the packages, and then you can install those. So I do have a video of us doing those on here, but I kind of wanted to show you step by step how to do that. Okay. Again, how to access the new reports, install the reports through the package library. The installed report appears in the General Ledger Reports dropdown under General Ledger Reports. To make changes after you install a report, duplicate the standard report or modify it if you need to make changes. To install it from scratch, go to customization services, customization packages, click on the library, find the report, and install. Now, I do want to say, if you've never been in there before and there's a lot of things in there that maybe pique your interest, I suggest that you don't install anything other than these two reports without first consulting the person, your support team that you're working with. But I'm going to go ahead and mute myself, and I'm going to play this video for you. There it is. All right, so I've logged into my demo company. First thing we're going to do is we're going to go to reports, and we're going to go to custom reports, and we're going to look for any reports beginning with the word permissions, in which you'll see that there is not. So now I'm going to go into platform services, and if you don't have platform services, you have customization services. Either one is going to get you what we need here. We need to go to custom packages, and then we need to click on package library. And then down here, we should see to-do ones for permission change, audit trail report, permission report for all direct users. Again, there's a lot of other things in here, but please don't install this without first consulting somebody from RKL or whoever you're working with with Intacct right now as your partner. So I'm going to go ahead and install this one first. Okay. And now I'm going to go down and install the other permissions report. Okay. And now what we'll do is we'll go back to reports, and we'll go to custom reports. And now we'll see two reports here: report changes, audit trail reports. This will allow you to run this report and see all of the changes that have taken place from granting or removing people's permission. So you can see right here, we have that. Okay. And then again, for a specific user, we can run and see what does this user have. So in this particular case, I'm going to grab my demo user here and hit view, and we'll be able to see what permissions I have available to us. Okay. Thank you very much. All right, moving on to the general ledger. They've added, now this is a big one, added choose how the trial balance report shows opening and closing balances. So when you're going to run your trial balance report, you scroll down to the bottom at the format section, and again, this is our sticky section, so this is going to stay on. You can say show opening and closing balances as debits and credits, or you cannot show that. So what does it look like? Right here is what we always looked at before. Now we have the ability to show it here. And I did not box this one, but you could see the ending balances as debits and credits as well. Again, pretty straightforward on this one, but because we're running out of demos to look at, because most of it's just verbiage stuff that they've done this time, we're going to go into general ledger, and we're going to scroll down here to trial balance, and we're going to scroll down here to the bottom. Again, it's unchecked. We'll hit view, and we see opening balances as a net of debits and credits. And we'll scroll back down, and we'll hit view, and we will see nothing. Oh, there it is. Oh, now we're going to print it. We'll see opening balance, debits and credits. Again, debits and credits throughout the period, adjusting and closing. We see them all separated. And that is all from general ledger. Moving on to cash management. In cash management, we've added the ability to connect a French bank account using the service provider of Nordigan. We've also updated creation rules for VAT and GST taxes if you have those. You can use transaction templates to capture the VAT and GST transactions created for reconciliation. Okay. On to AP. All right, accounts payable. AP automation as an add-on feature to accounts payable streamlines your data entry process to save you time and money. The system automatically creates draft bills and bill documents that you email or upload to Sage Intacct. Bill details are automatically populated for you using data from original bill document, the vendor information record, and previous bill. This had been in an early adopter phase and has been released now. Okay, so with that being said, all that's left for you to do is review the drafted bills, make a coding change or adjustments, and either submit for approval or post them. You're informed of any issues that were detected when the bills were analyzed, such as duplicate bill submission, lack of vendor match, or a problem with the file format, and you can correct those issues before you post. To use this feature, you must sign a separate agreement, and starting October 1st, 2023, a nominal transaction fee, okay? Full disclosure here. This is right from Intacct, not from Todd. Nominal transaction fee. I do not know what nominal transaction fee means. However, that's what it says. Will be charged for you per bill submitted when using the AP automation. You can talk to your account manager for more information on that. There have been some enhancements to the vendor payments powered by CSI. There is an email address that was added for remittance purposes. To set that vendor remittance email up, to use a different company email other than the one you entered during setup. This is useful when your CSI remittance emails use the CFO's email rather than the AP department's. Therefore, we can get the bills to where they want to, where they need to go, instead of going to the CFO where they say, why me? In order to do that, if you have this service enabled, cash management, all tab, checking, edit by your CSI enable accounts, go to the payment providers tab and enter the email address for remittance and hit save. Other changes to accounts payable. You can save time by applying credits, applying credits to bills. You can restrict available credits to a date range when using the new pay bills feature. This one, you will see this 3 times throughout this presentation. Security control for summary batches to reduce potential discrepancies in your transactional data. The option to edit summaries and payment summaries is now available only for manual summaries. Okay, if you have automatic summaries coming in or summaries created outside, they will not be able to be updated, only manual ones. Okay, and CSV import changes. Imported amounts with more than 2 decimal places will now be rounded instead of throwing you an error. On to accounts receivable. What was added? A new payment object for reporting. We added a new accounts receivable payment object so you can run a centralized and detailed report for all AR payment transactions. So if you're creating a report, you now have a new object in there called AR receivable payment details if you're creating a custom report. Also, updated security control for summary batches to reduce potential discrepancies in your transactional data. The option to edit summaries and payment summaries is now available only for manual summaries. That's number 2. You have to wait for the next one. And CSV import change. Imported amounts with more than 2 decimal places will now be rounded. A lot of good stuff there. I wanted to dig in a little bit more on this. If you go to create a custom report, you can see the details of what I wanted to kind of give you a snapshot of what fields are going to be in there to see if that was anything that's like, hey, this is super exciting. I want to go do this. Or, you know what? It sounds like it could be good. I'm going to go do it. Wait a second. Why did that dude tell us about this? There's nothing good here. Therefore, before you spend the time, you can see what new fields are available for you in this. in this object. So hopefully somebody says, thank you before I waste my time. Unless you really want those fields, then it's not a waste of time. I'll be quiet now. Purchasing changes. Added specify location and department in subtotals at the top level. This is an early adopter phase, okay? If your company has been upgraded from single entity to multi-entity, you can now set and edit the location and department dimensions for transaction subtotals at the top level. You can transact at the top level with the same flexibility you had at the entity. For example, if you do business out of one location, you might want to set the subtotals to use that location. Or if you're entering transaction for a particular department, you can specify the department in the subtotals. Intacct has added an include location and department checkbox in the configure purchase page. You can select the checkbox with the edit subtotal dimension at the top level. Checkbox is selected. When you enable the editing of location and department dimensions at the top level, these two things change. Transaction departments or transaction definitions, the department and location field appear in the subtotal table, and department and location fields appear in subtotal section for your transactions that you created at the top level. A lot of stuff there. So if you are a company that is migrating to multi-entity, just feel free to keep this, if this is valuable to you, to have the data in here rather than come back and try to listen through this. In order entry, it's the same thing as we just did in purchasing. So I am going to save you and not force you to listen to me recap this entire thing. Also an early adopter is fulfillment for sales order management. Okay, fulfillment was launched under an early adopter program in 2022 R2. It's still in early adopter, but it gives warehouse managers and warehouse workers the tools to track and ship orders in a timely fashion to keep customers happy. It also provides pick and pack lists, which makes the job of the pickers and the packers in the warehouse floor more efficient and less costly. And as sales orders move through fulfillment, Sage Intacct reserves and allocates quantities so the quantities cannot be used elsewhere, which all of us who like to order products say thank you very much, because when we order something and then we find out now we don't have it, is very frustrating. You can manage sales orders through the processes of pick, pack, ship, and invoice, or in any combination of those from a single page, okay? You control which processes to use depending on your operations and business practices. So I did on the second slide, on this next slide here, what I did was I did a little bit about what during which phase, which of these phases, what can be done here typically. So I attach this for informational purposes. Also an early adopter, commit quantities during order entry. So when you create a sales order, you may want to enter the quantity to reserve an item or the quantity that's already been picked for an item. The entered quantities are committed to the order and can no longer be used anywhere else, such as by other sales orders. Therefore, again, we hopefully don't order something and then wait for it with eager anticipation for it to be back ordered because somebody else took it from us. Not bitter at all here. When the transaction definition for a sales order is enabled for reserving and picking, inventory items, two fields appear for the line items in the entry section. Quantities reserved, meaning that they're set aside to fill an item, and quantities picked, meaning that they've already been picked for the item to be sent out. You can enable sales orders for both reserving and picking or allocating quantities and for fulfillment. On to the projects and the grants. So during your time of implementation, for those of you who were through that, and if you haven't been, hopefully you've been registered with the community and you get into community from time to time to see what's out there. You've probably heard in the past us tell you, hey, let's post an idea. Sometimes these ideas go through. Lo and behold, both of these ideas came from submissions that Intacct took into their release, and there we go. Before this release, projects all invoices view option listed all the available invoices, requiring you to create a custom report to filter and find the project invoice transactions that you want to run. With this release, you no longer need to search for possible matches. Only project invoices generated from the project application now appear. So for those of you doing project billing, you're going to be very happy. Hands are probably up in the air if you're still awake, and all excited. And if you're not doing project billing, then I apologize for taking so long there. Now you can assist. Also, you can assign order entry permissions to your project managers using the can add, edit, and delete order transactions. As we mentioned earlier, this actually came from a request submitted by a user. So keep the ideas coming. Feel free, you have a good idea, reach out to the people you know in Intacct and say, hey, I have a really good idea here. Please vote for this. When it gets enough votes, it can be put into one of these releases. See the transaction state of a billable invoice line in preview. Again, previewing project invoices shows you the payment and approval status of the source transactions. You do have to be a business and an admin user in order to generate the invoices to do this. Project managers can generate draft project invoices from a pre-bill report. However, they can't do the actual invoices. The new state column in preview shows you which transactions have been paid or approved. For example, you can now see the payment state for an employee expense and accounts payable bills before you generate the project invoice for those transactions. Now what we have is Intacct has really kind of moved forward with a lot of the specialized modules. So I did want to make sure that I put a little bit of everything in there. For example, if you're using construction or if you're using contracts, majority of us aren't using some of these modules, but I did want to make sure I put this in for you if you are using it. I do not have a construction demo at the moment, so I can't really show you any of this, but we can kind of talk through. They've added in construction, post-construction project contract entries to GL budgets on construction projects, contract lines, post line entries to GL ledger budgets, and change request entries. Okay, budget entries post to the GL budget account and appear on the financial reports. They've also added Sage Intacct Construction Payroll. You can use the construction payroll functionality to automate and simplify payroll tasks associated with construction projects. They've added bill construction retainage on project contract invoices. They've announcing Sage Field Operations. The Field Operations mobile app provides the team in the field with critical information they may need and syncs seamlessly to Sage Intacct Construction. They've updated project construction billing and payment details from your project contract, view invoices, retainage releases, and payments, and project contract lines directly from the contract billing tables tab, details tab. For those of you with the contracts module, they've added billing schedule previews. They've updated the usage billing with evergreen contracts. And they've updated the validations in contract journal configurations to add safeguards that clarify the best practices for accurate contract reporting. On to advanced CRM. For those of you using advanced CRM, they've added more sync options from projects and tasks. So projects and tasks can now be synced bidirectionally, and the audit trail comes to the Intacct Advanced CRM. And hopefully they'll bidirectionally sync some other stuff. Taxes, they've added electronic filing for South African taxes. You can submit VAT taxes manually or electronically for South African multitask entities with new electronic filing workflow. Time and expense, and here it is, number 3. They've updated security control for summary batches to reduce potential discrepancies in your transactional data. The option to edit summaries and payment summaries is now available only for manual summaries, okay? And I do want to specify that because if they're not a manual summary, you're still going to have a problem. With that being said, that ends my portion of it. I do not see any questions thus far in the Q&A section, so I'm going to take that as I did a very, very good job. Or people are frantically typing their questions now because they thought they had more time.
Yes, we are going to have the floor open a little bit for questions right now. I actually do have a couple for you, Todd. So the first one is, how do we know if we are scheduled to migrate to multi-entry?
So as of now, as of the last communication that we got from Intacct, they were looking for volunteers. So they were reaching out to different people, different companies that had that. You can request that. It's best to go through your account representative to say, hey, we're single entity. When can we get on that list? They're still kind of determining when they're going to roll it out, but for now, they're letting people choose to roll it out first.
Got it. Okay, and another one here. How is Sage AP automation different from other AP integrations?
For now, they're not charging you. So from what I gather on that, we do have a couple customers using that now. I haven't had the opportunity to get into it a whole lot myself, but from what I'm hearing, it's actually working pretty good. Now, the difference is a lot of the other third-party add-ons that offer that OCR recognition as an option tend to also be ones that pay the bills as well. I know, for example, Use and Avid both have that capability in there. And that's kind of one of the things that they say, it's kind of a one-stop shop. This is not that. This is just the OCR piece. This is just the OCR portion of it, and it allows you to still maintain the payment of things in your within your own system. So, from what I gathered, I kind of joked about the nominal fee piece, but from what I gather, from what I've heard that they're talking about, is they're looking at kind of what other people are using with that, and they want to keep it right around that same piece. They're really pushing out the CSI payments powered, or the payments, Sage Intacct payments, vendor payments powered by CSI. Sorry, I knew I was going to get there at some point. That handles that piece. This is strictly just the bill piece. And for those of you who are kind of using the bank ACH platform for paying bills, becomes a kind of a good option in that regards. At least that's kind of the way I'm looking at it, to where I can still control when I pay bills, who I pay, how I pay. And if I have that set up, it's still time saving, but I'm not having to manually enter the bills. So long-winded answer, but you've heard me talk now for the last 40 minutes, so you know I'm long-winded anyway.
Awesome. Okay, and we have another one here. Logging into Sage University, how do we figure out our account number?
Yeah, I saw that one up there. I forget. I got to be honest. I forget where that part is. It should be your Sage account number. What we've told people to use in the past is your Sage customer ID, which should begin with a C and be, I think it's a 4-digit number after that. So you should be able to check out with your account rep to find out what your Sage account, what your client ID number is. It's also going to be on your order form or any documentation you get from Intacct.
Great. Okay, I'll pause just a couple seconds, see if we have any last minute questions.
Going back to that last question, at least that's what I've been telling people to put in there. Nobody's come back so far and said that's not the right number. So I'm banking on that being the correct answer.
So if it's wrong, they can go to you, right, Todd?
I didn't really say that. No, they absolutely, you can reach out to me if I made a mistake there.
Okay, so I think that's all for right now. So again, thank you, Todd, for everything, and thank you everybody for attending. Be sure to look out for our other events we have coming up. We are running RKL 23 this month. We are highlighting Alltech, and we're going to do a live Q&A session on our YouTube channel. So make sure you can subscribe to our YouTube to get updates about what's happening with them and everything else. And thank you all for attending. Like I said, we're going to send out the slides and recording this week. So have a great day, everybody.